I sat down probably the wealthiest people I knew at the time, all telling me that they hate their website. And I didn't expect that. I saw it as an opportunity to say, I know nothing about it, which is fine. You seem to hate it. You might have a budget for it.
What will you do in revenue this year?
We'll likely pass 3 million.
This is David. He built a $3 million marketing agency from scratch. And the crazy part is, he started it as a side hustle while working his 9-to-5 without knowing how to build a single website or anything about marketing and SEO.
I've heard about this WordPress thing. Found somebody that could do it, hired them, and then we started building websites. I got to $20,000 a month while working a 9-to-5. Imagine what I could do with a full 24 hours of focus. Yeah, now and look at where we're at today.
David shares not only how he quickly grew his own business, but also other business ideas for anyone else to start today.
I think that's a great business. If I'm starting from scratch again, that might be the one that I would go. But are typically one of the quickest ways to get revenue.
I flew out to Denver to learn more how he started his agency without knowing how to build a single website, his approach to leveraging partnerships for ongoing referrals, and specific business ideas for anyone else to start and grow today. Let's dive in.
Thanks for having us at your home/office. What's your name and how'd you quit your job to get into entrepreneurship?
My name's David. Quit my job to get into entrepreneurship just by grit, putting a number on it and working towards it. I was a finance guy, so I went straight to numbers and was like, here's how much I'm spending. Here's how much I'm gonna need to run the business, and tried to work backwards and give myself a little leeway. So I wanted enough money in the bank that gave me 6 months. In my head, if I had 6 months and I couldn't start the business, maybe it wasn't for me. But if I could do it in 6 months, I was confident I could do it after.
And as you were tinkering, what were you trying to do? What were you selling?
Somehow or another, I ended up in the world of digital marketing. And there's a lot to be said about that, but I'm a big believer that businesses exist to solve problems. And I also knew that people would pay money to solve problems. So one of the first things I did, I sat down probably the wealthiest people I knew at the time, all happened to be business owners. I gave them a very vague question of, what do you hate? They had a lot of responses, a lot of good ones. The one denominator though, and it put me on this path, was marketing. Everybody hated marketing. So I said, okay, tell me more about this marketing thing. They're like, yeah, well, I hate our ad strategy. We're not writing good content. I don't like the website, but website, everybody brought up. I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I didn't expect that. What do you hate about your website? It's clunky, it's slow. That's how I got started with websites. I saw it as an opportunity to say, I know nothing about it, which is fine. You seem to hate it. You might have a budget for it. So let's see what I can do. So I pitched all of them on a 10 grand website. All of them said no. One said yes at 5 grand. That was our first customer, and we were off to the races.
And did you know how to create a custom website?
Not a chance. I knew nothing. I turned around and put out the bat signal and was like, who do I know that builds websites? And I had somebody reach out. I asked him if he could build websites. He said yes, so I hired him. And we were off to the races. It was definitely a building a plane while flying it. I'm sure it will be a common theme today, but I let revenue drive any and every decision in the business. If we're not already getting paid for it, or we can't get paid for it, or there's no money to be had, we're not going to make the investment on the other side.
Were there any other things on that list that stood out to you that, oh, maybe I would do this?
Everyone had issues with their finances, and not business, which I always found interesting. It was all personal finances. You have these really wealthy people that couldn't quite figure out how to convey their business cash flow with their personal cash flow. Like one of them, I remember to this day, because I feel the pain now. He was using QuickBooks to track his own personal finances because nothing was out there that was better. And if anything, it reminds me of the fact that you can have these really smart people, and the things that you assume they have on lock, that they do really, really well, are actually a huge oversight, a huge pain point or a burden. And for me, a website, I'm like, every company has one. I'm sure you got it covered. Turns out it's not. Like the things that I assumed would be really simple were not. And I remember that with the finance thing of, you have these brilliant business owners and they're getting tripped up on personal finance budgeting about what to spend at the grocery store, which I always found interesting, but good reminder that anybody, anywhere can have any type of problem.
If somebody watching this is thinking for themselves, well, maybe I don't have the network. Are there any ideas that are personal problems for you right now in your life?
One of the biggest things is if I need to drive or I need a car, I buy something that's pre-made. If I need a website, you can come to Numa, buy one that's quote unquote pre-made, or somebody else is going to make it for you. I rarely find project management solutions that are pre-made. And what I mean by that, oftentimes companies are leading the project management internally. They find a software and then they go build it out to their needs, oftentimes incorrect. And I think companies switch project management software, specifically agencies, like every 18 months. So clearly they didn't do it right if they have to keep switching. An idea, and there's companies out there, but it's definitely newer. The one I think of is a ZenPilot, pre-made project management solutions.
So you identified this theme, you saw the pattern, you're like, okay, websites, rather than overanalyze, you just dove right in, figured out, hired somebody, kept on getting more and more clients, quit your job. Can you talk about like scaling that? What did that look like? Did you get 10 more clients, just start with one?
It started with one. My goal was to make enough money that I didn't have to go back to a corporate job. I just started selling websites. One of the habits that I still have today is I start every day 2-hour deep work block of the most important thing that I need to do in the business. And my most important thing then was sales. Hey, I got a guy that can build websites. I know how to sell them. I'm just going to start selling more. And for every, let's say, $5,000 website I sell, I make $3,000. I'll put that money back into sales and we'll just keep spinning the wheel and see how far it can get. When I started there to scale it out, it wasn't just sell everything that moves. It was, okay, who could we best serve, even though we're early? Who do I think I can help the most? What's our price point? What's our cost model? In the funny way, I was still working my 9 to 5. So my 6 to 9 in my 6 to 10 at night, that was when I was building the business. So if anything, I had to make sure not only did I get my work done important in the morning, but it's something that I still develop to this day. I wake up and kind of give the marching orders out early. That way I'm not needed throughout the day. For me, it was a challenge that other people are gonna be working when I'm actually working at a different job, like make things simple. What do we exist to do? We exist to build websites and I need to sell as many as I can and you're gonna fulfill as many as you can. And that was definitely at the core of it of, I'll do my side, you do your side, bring the bow tie of revenue together and we'll see where it goes.
Can you explain like what that is?
If anybody's watching this, you could go Google marketing funnel and you're going to get just a one-sided triangle. And I think my hassle with that is that it never talks about what's next. And revenue bow tie for us is something that I don't think we coined, it's out there, but the land and expand model. I want to not only land a client, have a really good marketing funnel to bring them into the business, I want to also learn how to expand that as well. So sales is important. You need sales to grow your agency, but sales shouldn't be a function in your business where they're saving the day. We're here to solve problems. If we can get really close to a client, understand their pain, think about the conversations that started Numa, right? What is annoying in your business and how can we solve it? And bring that into every interaction. Not only can we land good clients, we can expand them and keep them for years, which is a way more predictable way to build a business, but a lot less chaotic way of building a business as well.
So what is Numa today and how's that different from how it started?
Numa back in the day, when Numa started, I definitely don't apologize for doing it that way. It's a good way to do it. It's just very productized. We could only solve one type of problem for one type of person. And it limited us not only on pricing, but how quickly we could scale because there was only one type of person that needed a new 5-page website. That's all we did. Today, we're more like a doctor's office where you go in, you say, hey doc, my knee hurts. Just okay, why? When does it hurt? Why does it hurt? When did you start experiencing this? How important is it to get you solved? Like, what is this impacting your life? Okay, great. All the info you gave me, here's my treatment plan, here's how much it's gonna cost, and here is how it's gonna help you, right? But we don't do just websites, right? We have the website, we have a full SEO team, a full paid search team as well. Now it becomes, as a doctor's office, hey, business owner, what's your pain point? Whatever that pain point is, we'll use the tools at our disposal to try and meet those goals for you. It's given us an opportunity to be more strategic with our clients, which is good, but also control our pricing, right? If you don't need our best-in-class solution, I'm not gonna force it down your throat because that's what's on the menu. We're going to cater to you and figure out what's best for you as well.
And what will you do in revenue this year?
We'll likely pass 3 million. I'm hoping to get maybe 3.1, 3.2. But yeah, we'll pass 3 million, which I'm excited about.
Did the business immediately take off or what did like the first year look like?
I don't think any first year entrepreneur really needs to look in the QuickBooks. I certainly didn't, but the reason I say that, I wouldn't focus on where revenue or profit margins fell. I was worried about I need more customers. First year fully was I need more customers. I didn't think twice about anything else. If I get customers, I can figure out what to do next. And that's what I did for the first year. The second, third year, and kind of where we're at today is how do we optimize the customers that we have and continue to optimize how we deliver our work to them and build profit into that, right? We're definitely not a nonprofit. We're definitely here to make profit, but only do so if we can deliver the right work to clients and keep them happy. By nature of whenever I started the business, it was 2020. It was in the middle of COVID. Every business owner in the world was considering how to make their company more digital friendly. A lot of times it started with a website. But we got lucky in the sense of it was in the middle of a pandemic. The demand for what we sold was so incredibly high. There quite literally, I don't think, was enough supply of agencies that would do what we do. And there's a lot of them, mind you. But that first year was such a roller coaster because I look up and we had ended the year just flirting with like 75K in like revenue. It wasn't all recurring because it was project, but February 2021, I had marginal money, maybe 20 grand a month. Quit, went full time, and we were at 70, flirting with 80 by the end of the year. So a lot of growth happened very quickly.
There's a lot of agency owners out there, whether they're solopreneurs or a team of people working together. What do you think that most people get wrong running the agency business?
You know who Alex Hormozy is. I'm sure everybody listening to this does as well. He has $100 million leads, offers, and I think that might be it. Maybe there's another one. You don't see anything that's $100 million client delivery or $100 million fulfillment or $100 million project management. It's all about the sales. And I think agencies specifically get two things wrong. They over-index on sales. If you do agencies right, you shouldn't have to be selling just a vast amount of new business every month. You should be getting that from your book of business. But two, in the grand scheme of things, what even gives you the opportunity to sell a service? It's good brand recognition, good results. Well, what gives you the recognition or the opportunity to do that? It's project management, fulfillment, and making sure the work that we sold gets done and we exceed expectations. Without that, a business doesn't have a long time to live. We're not going to put something on the front end that we can't deliver on the back end. And I think that's one of the biggest things I see with agencies is they might have beautiful brands, beautiful marketing. Everything looks so exciting on the front end, but it falls apart on the back end. And there's no worse feeling for a buyer than buyer's remorse.
So you've learned a lot of skills now, but when you're just starting out, like, did you know how to code? Did you know SEO?
Did not code, did not do SEO. Yeah, I think by nature of being a management consultant before, I was very comfortable speaking. If anything, I was a public speaking, I think minor in college is kind of the terminology of what it was. So I had a lot of comfort in talking to people and maybe explaining value. And I knew I didn't have enough time to catch up on the other stuff. There were people far better than me at SEO or web or anything of that sort. But speaking, I felt pretty good at, and that's what I leaned into. And that, if anything, was the biggest skill set I took into the business outside of finance.
And as you're looking to grow your own business, how do you look at that in terms of vertically growing, horizontally growing?
Yeah, so as we look at our three key service lines, we have SEO, paid, and website design and development. I'll keep them simple with that. I don't want to change too much of the tactics. I don't want to start building a new type of website. I want to continue to build the websites that we do best in the customer base. We've gone through a few vertical acquisitions of literally just looking at our P&L, finding where we spend money or what we spend money on, and asking the question of, could we buy a business that does this? And if anything, can I buy a business that does that, have it help Numa, but also have a new business that stands up on its own, that's still client services, that still is in the marketing arena? And that's been a pretty cool way to grow. I think we're going to continue doing more of that. You definitely have to find the right deal. I hunted through 60, 70, maybe 80 businesses to find one. So it takes a lot of vetting, but buying a business that we either use or a business in the area of services that we'll need is a really good way to grow and scale that.
And you've also grown a lot through, I think, partnerships that you've done.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you look at that?
When we started with websites, I would even say like the value chain of marketing. Like I'm thinking all the way to a startup. You have an idea. Okay, you need a brand, you need a logo, and then you need a website. Then you need some performance marketing. And then you might need some more mature like life cycle marketing and awareness marketing and brand marketing, right? There's a chain of like what you need. So my thought is if we're building a website, what's the people that work with a client before us? If they don't do websites, it's brand people. So the first partnership that I built was with a brand agency, and they sent us $50,000, $60,000 in revenue because they want to look good. They want their clients to have a full set of deliverables, let's say. But if you've ever met a branding person, they want their work to be seen. Well, the worst thing in the world is having a great brand and it not get built correctly on a website. So finding opportunities where getting a customer to buy from you is a very hard thing. Getting a customer to buy more from you is a lot easier. Essentially, the quickest path I found is find someone else's customer that bought from them. And as long as you can build trust with that partner and you're going to do them well, steal some of that trust and use it for your business as well. There's a lot of unique ways to build out partnerships now, but I definitely think it's foolish to think that you have to go get all the leads yourself. I'd say maybe a quarter of our leads were self-sourced ourselves. The other 75% were inbound from marketing or from these partnerships that we set up.
So I guess one, how quickly have you scaled these partnerships?
Very quickly. For me, it's fun, right? Because I have an audience as well of, I'd say, other agency owners. And you know, I'm their audience too. Like I like being connected to other agency owners, but connecting with other agency owners that are also, you know, trying to solve the same problems I am, that's one tweet. And I can find somebody that has a problem that they've solved, or maybe I see somebody that needs a problem solved that I've solved before. It's really easy to network with those people and build those relationships. So I'd say you can build partnerships out as quickly as you want to network and meet new people in your space, but you can grow them as quickly as you want to go out and meet new people, in my opinion.
And so how would you like structure that?
I think one thing that Stripe does really cool is they have something called Atlas. They'll register your business and then they'll give you referrals to all the things. They've built partnerships with QuickBooks and Gusto and different softwares. So I'm big on where your service falls in the value chain of whatever market you're in, right? So even if it's, I don't know, you get a new car, well, after you're going to go find maintenance, you might set up car payments, you might want to get somebody that can detail your car or clean it. I like finding out where I sit in the grand scheme of things and partner with the people closest to me. The easiest way to do this, so you don't take guesses, call up your clients, ask them where else they spend their marketing dollars, and say, it's not a quiz. I'm not trying to steal the business. Like, I want to get to know you better. Where else do you spend your money? Because I guarantee you're not 100% share of wallet. But two, they're going to rattle off 4 or 5 things that they're paying for that could be very easy partnership opportunities for you.
Do you think that there's a business, maybe a beginner business to be had of somebody who doesn't fulfill any of these services themselves and just matches with SEO, ads, website?
Could definitely see that. I think the one that I've always toyed with, a good beginner business that I'd love to go start, is building out a partnerships system for agencies. If there was someone out there that, back in the day, whenever I was starting this, I said, hey, for $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, $3,000 a month, I will come in, identify your agency and where it sits in the larger market, identify maybe priority 1, 2, and 3 lists that I should be reaching out to that are either before or after you in the value chain. And I will go in, have the call with them, set up a partnership, get this signed a doc, and manage the referrals back and forth as part of your team. I think that's a great business that could be started. It's an easier way to sell because sales has this connotation, right? But partnerships don't. And I think that's a great business. And if I'm starting from scratch again, that might be the one that I would go do, because I think it's fun. It can be very valuable, but partnerships are typically one of the quickest ways to get revenue. You just need the right connection, and how quickly can you get that is up to you.
Are there any off the top of your mind that you value more than others, or like some of your favorite tools, or how do you approach like your tech stack?
One that I like a lot, and it's simple, but that's not to downgrade what they do, is SEO Monitor. It monitors the SEO for our client accounts. It tells us if things are going good or bad. So I don't have to go check Google Search Console accounts one by one for now over 100 clients. That's going to get pretty timely. I'd say as we approach the tech stack and as we grow the company as well, the things that we look for is truly, where are we spending inefficient time? Something like a client, let's say a monthly client call, I would never replace with a technology or software. I don't think you could right now, but that will always be done by a person. But the research prior, all the data gathering, that could be done by a software tech, right? It's knowing what to replace and what not to replace. And I'd say the thing that we're very cautious about is not over technologying, which isn't a word, but our business.
Right. It sounds like you learned a lot from your clients as well as other like business owners. Is there anyone or any particular books or people that you are learning from?
I always like a lot of Andrew Wilkinson's content. He's definitely become more of a household name on the internet world recently, but I remember listening to a lot of his stuff early on. One of the favorites I always recommend is Do Better Work by Max Yoder. There's another one, Managing the Professional Services Firm, I want to say by David Meister. There's another one, The Boutique. I forget who wrote that, and I'm reading it right now, so I should know. And I would say, similar to software, books can help you solve a specific problem in business. If there's a book that can help me solve a problem, I'm buying it no matter what the cost is, and I'm going to solve my problem. And it's nice knowing that someone else has solved it and tells me how to do it. I'd say above and beyond all that is find some type of networking or peer group, something in that regard, because a book is pretty tactical. A book is just not, it's a one-way street, right? Like somebody's dumping in knowledge, but they don't know much about your business. I've loved having different networking groups. I'm in one now called Hampton. I'm in another one called Acumen, which is local. Having people that are in similar shoes, similar sizes, and I get 3 to 4 to 5 hours a month with them on top of the Slack community and things like that is a great value add for me to know exactly what is going on in the business. But I can get very specific with my problem, and people can get very specific with their answers because it's a two-way street. So above and beyond books, having relationships with people in a similar boat to you, it doesn't always have to be organized, but has been a huge help.
If someone were to approach you and they're wanting to quit their job to, let's say, use your same number, 50K, to make the leap, how would you guide them to do that? Or what businesses would you be thinking about?
The partnerships one, let's take that as an example even. You have an idea, write it on a one-page. Here's what we do, why we do it, how we'll deliver it, the value that you can get from it, and how long it's going to take. And identify who you think might need that business. Just ask them if it's a pain point, if it's a value, what they would pay for it if they would. Do some market research, understand what you're getting into before you even go build the product. But then my challenge would be sell somebody on it before you start to deliver it. But truly sell somebody and see if they'll even give you a credit card and pay an invoice. Because if you can do that, if one person buys from you, then I think you're in a good spot and you can scale that out. That would be what I would do first and foremost. This might sound odd, but if you're going to quit your job to start a business, don't quit your job first. Because if you can manage to build a successful business on the side of a full-time job, imagine what that looks like if you have full time to do it. And I think that was one of the hidden things in Numa of, I got to $20,000 a month while working a 9 to 5. Imagine what I could do with a full 24 hours of focus. Yeah, now look at where we're at today.
You've grown this company doing north of 3 million ARR. You have a team over 20 employees now. Were there times when you felt like you just didn't know what you're doing?
I feel like there was times today I didn't feel like I knew what I was doing. Man, I think that's the joy of bootstrapping a business from the ground up. And I use this example a lot. Quitting wasn't a clear decision. I had a job that people, I wouldn't say coveted. It wasn't that cool, but it was cool. My own parents thought I was crazy. Now they maybe think I'm less crazy, but they're like, let's discern what you're about to do. Are you sure? You have a good job. You're making good cash. Are you sure this is what you want to do? And I was like, yep, doing it. I was 22, maybe 23. Yeah, 23. I didn't have any skills. I had 8 months in a job, a couple internships. I had some skills, but not what other people have. And there are certain problems that come across my plate that I just like, I have no idea how to do this. Like, if anything, I was the management consultant putting together slide decks and talking to people. And that, like, I remember a couple years ago, we nearly got sued. I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know. And like, it went away happily with one phone call. It went away. So if that's a pro tip, always call people. But yeah, I feel that feeling a lot. And it's, any problem can be solved. But oftentimes it's the fear I have is, this is a real problem. And like I said, there are real people working for me with real families, real homes, real payments, right? They're relying on me to solve this problem effectively. And I have never seen a problem like this in my life. So there are moments where I had the real logical conversation with myself of, I understand why people start businesses later in life. Maybe I don't know enough. Like, maybe this is why small businesses started by young people fail, because they don't have the skill set that they need. And the thing that I would give to anybody in those moments, those always felt like my lowest. I'm always a conversation or two away. And I oftentimes notice any public admittance of like, I have a problem, help me solve it, got an answer really quick. Something like a Hampton, something like a LinkedIn, you can go back and literally find old posts of like, I'm struggling with this, who has ideas? And I was always one post away, one conversation away. And the other thing, man, patience is key. I'd say the biggest thing, and you hear this a lot with people, is just do right by people. I had the money comment, right? Be focused on the money, but it was to do right by people. It wasn't to be selfish. It wasn't to have an ego around it. It wasn't to go drive a Lamborghini. I wanted to do right by people. And I think that's the biggest thing. I have one name. It's David Riggs. That's not going anywhere anytime soon. Doing right by people, even at a young age, that's going to pay dividends down the line. And do right by my people, do right by clients. Anybody that interacted with Numa, I wanted to have a positive experience. And even if they didn't, have a path to a positive experience, right? I wanted them to leave better, whether an employee or a contractor or a vendor or a client. I'd say that's the biggest thing, is just always do right by people. But the other thing, maybe a bit more competitive, but it's really hard to lose the game if the other person quits before you. And I feel like I was at a time where a lot of businesses were started. And I would contend that a lot of the businesses that were started in 2020, late 2020, early 2021, probably aren't around anymore. That doesn't mean I'm anything special other than maybe I was crazy enough to stick around longer than they did. But patience and time are, I think, the two aspects that, me personally being young, but the business being young, have in our advantage now, is that we can stick around and stay in the game a lot longer than everybody else. And it's hard to lose if the other teams that you play against keep quitting.
Love that. Do right by people. David Riggs, thanks for inviting us into your home and office. Is there any one last final message or challenge to somebody watching this who maybe wants to build their own business?
I don't remember who says it, but it's one of my favorite little sayings. Hard work is better than no work. Starting a business is tough. Being unemployed is tough. Choose your tough, right? Like, that's definitely tough love, and not everybody loves hearing that, but choose your hard. Everything's gonna chuck, or choose the problems that you wanna be dealing with. My challenge to everybody is figure out the problems that you want and go get into a situation where, if anything, grateful to have those problems, but choose your hard. Life is never gonna be easy. You're gonna be stressed. Stress is a good thing. It's a reminder that you're up against a worthy challenge. And I see a lot in today's culture, we try and optimize for being comfortable, liking what we're doing. Man, there are days I do not like what I do. It's tough, it's challenging, but it's the right type of hard that I've chose. I'd rather do this than anything else.
Choose your hard. David, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.